My name is Jeff Fineman. I'm originally from New York, where I did most of my medical school training. And then I moved out here to University of California, San Francisco, where I trained in pediatric critical care medicine. I started my research career at the Cardiovascular Research Institute here. I do ICU for a living, predominantly cardiac ICU. I run the ICU here at UCSF, Benny F. Children's Hospital. I'm also now a senior investigator at the Cardiovascular Research Institute.
My name's Ian Adatia, and I'm professor of pediatrics at the University of Alberta, and I'm director of the Pediatric Pulmonary Hypertension Service at the Stollery Children's Hospital in Edmonton, Alberta.
Well, it was kind of the golden years for me because I was up and going in the lab kind of independently, and then Ian came, and so I really saw an expert at the bedside and a clinical researcher, a human-based researcher in Ian. I had been more of a basic science researcher, so it's really a great time. I mean, we couldn't get enough time. Well, I felt like I couldn't get enough time together to talk about problems, et cetera. And it came up one day that we should really kind of, put together a conference focused on neonatal and pediatric pulmonary vascular disease.
It's hard to imagine it's been more than a decade of organizing the conference with Jeff. It's been a real pleasure, actually, to work with Jeff. It's been a really good partnership. And I think Jeff recognized that we didn't have a conference dedicated to the science and clinical care of children and adolescents and babies with pulmonary hypertension. And he wanted to bring together clinicians and scientists to one venue where they would be free to discuss for 2 days and interact for 2 days and come up with ideas that might be beneficial.
We started adding a science session where particularly young investigators can come and present their work. So that's really taken off. We've added some awards for young investigators, a basic science award and a clinical science award. So that's been very nice.
One of the most important milestones was when we started to try to include children and families, get money for them to travel and have a special family-oriented sessions so that the families could meet the physicians and the scientists and give their point of view, both formally and informally. And in that way, I think it's become a really fulfilling conference for the scientists, the clinicians, and the families and the children.
One of the big focuses of Ian and I over the last few years is really to try to build up a family session, a session where families and patients and siblings, things that are really focused on the needs of families for pediatric pulmonary vascular disease, a place for them to come and talk amongst themselves, and also hopefully we can put together a program that's useful for them.
Going forward, we'd really like to have more funding for families and children to come and take part in the meeting and really express their opinion and interact with the scientists and clinicians, because I think that's the way for us to move forward.
It's really a passion of ours. It's not something that is financially feasible. But because we don't charge the families, nor should we, but it's something that we think is really important. And I really think there's a void in a place where they can all come in a formal setting and learn from each other. And this would be the perfect place to do that. And we do it in parallel with the science session. It's the only time where there's 2 sessions running simultaneously, and we want both of those areas to really build. So we have the junior people, the junior investigators and the young pulmonary hypertension experts of the next generation, a place to foster them, and also a place to support families and their patients.
All our decisions are very important for the families, and that we have such a huge responsibility to them, and that when they're present, it makes you think about what's being said at the meeting. So, for instance, when people talk about mortality and there's a family there, it changes your perception of that word and how it's felt and what it means, and I think inspires people to really work harder, do more, and try to find an answer for this, for pulmonary vascular disease. The stories that the families and children have told have been inspiring. It's something that you don't have time in clinic to listen to, and you don't always realize how articulate and how intelligent the families and the patients are about their disease. and what a lot you can learn from them just because of the pressures of everyday clinical life. It's hardly time to get everything done in a day. And so coming to a meeting like this really helps you to step back and hear what they have to say, listen to the directions they want to go.
Every year it's gotten more and more popular, and we'll keep going, trying to make it an important part of the meeting.